welcome to BWTM Sports Gaming. Glad you could join me. When will you boxing fans learn? When will you listen to some truth and at least consider it? How many years have I been talking? And how many years have people told me, that can't happen, that can't happen, that won't happen, that can't happen, that won't happen, that's not possible? Well, it's here. The Boxing League has arrived. And I told you what's going to happen. I told you the Boxing League would arrive. And I tell you how it's going to work. Before Turki Al-Sheikh and Dana White even tell you what's going to happen, I tell you how it's going to happen. This is the beginning of the end of promoters in boxing, in my opinion, right? I'm sorry about this top I've got on. I think it's the beginning of the end of promoters. It's the end of the era of the 4 or 5 belts. That's going. Instead, we're going to have one face, one name, one champion, as Deontay Wilder used to say. That's where we're going with this. And what will happen is this league will pay so much money and they won't have to worry about sanctioning fees. Or if so, it'll be reduced. I don't think there'll be sanctioning fees. I think there'll be one face, one name, one champion. Therefore, all these sanctioning WBC, WBA, IBF, IBO, it's not going to matter anymore because the real, true, undisputed champion will be one belt, one champion. So you won't have situations where you've got one person's a champion over here, this one's a champion over there, this one's jumping up calling champion. There's one route to the championship of the world. Like on the video games almost. Like in the days of Muhammad Ali. One belt, one champion. And that's what I think it's going to be. And I think there'll be things, spin-offs like a contender series with spin-off for that where they can like fight for interim belts or sort of interim belt that allows you like just for example, like you fight as a contender and then you get yourself into a top 10. You might have belts that get you into position to fight in the top 10 to fight for a title. That's what I think. And you'll fight, champions will fight more regularly. Champions may fight 3, 4, 5 times a year because they're getting paid. And with that, you see guys like Warren and Hearn, they will play second fiddle. I think what will happen for them is that they will become feeders. So their gyms, their fighters, or the fighters that they manage will be fed into the league. It will be responsibility of Warren, Hearn, or Queensbury, or Boxer, DAZN, to get fighters, to get them into the league. That's where all the big money's going to be made. That league will be where all the money's made. And whatever's going on at the moment, it's not really going to matter. So fans will automatically be drawn to the big money. And what will end up happening is, it'll be like the Champions League of boxing. Mark my words, the Champions League of boxing will be this league if they can pull it off. And then and anything else will be like the Europa League. And so you end up having something like a Champions League and a Europa League. And before you know it, you have something like the WWF, like WWE, like I said before, SmackDown versus Raw. SmackDown being the predominantly the big name, which will be like the Boxing League. And then you'll have the Europa. You can have a champion over there. So technically what will happen is people like Tank Davis, right, with their WBA belt, will be like Europa. Even though the good fight of the year is, unless he signs. And then guys like Shakur Stevenson, who's fought in Saudi, will be like the Champions League. So the guys in the Europa will have to join the Champions League. Or else they don't get paid the money. They don't get the same amount of money. And they can't really call themselves the face of boxing. Because you be the face of boxing, you got to be in the Champions League. So I can see it happening. These people think the same. They not just in boxing, but they're always trying to put levels and elitism, and it's coming to boxing. It's coming to boxing. So you've seen it, you heard it here, and it'll be a real undisputed champion because there will be no other belts floating around like that. So what you could end up potentially having is champion versus champion, Europa champion versus Champions League champion. So you get a super champion. I can see something like that happening. And I can see the contender series being a way of filtering new fighters through. So if they did a contender series like that, and like maybe a contender series where guys are coming, some from the UK, some from America, some from Africa, or maybe get a contender series in Africa, contender series in UK, contender series in America, and then out of those, those champions enter to the league, into the league, something like that. That would make lots of money. It would get lots of attention. It would get lots of broadcasts. There'll be a lot more broadcasts with fighters in Africa, for example. A lot more broadcasts for fighters in Asia, India, the Philippines, all places that really, you got some fighters, but not as much exposure as we'd like. That's what I feel will happen. So let's wait and see how this pans out. But it's not looking good for those champions who are not with Mr. Turki Al-Sheikh. Are people selling their souls? I don't know. Are people signing devil contracts? I don't know. What I do know is there's a lot of money to be made. And people will go where the money is. Yep. And Eddie Hearn is going to have to pull your finger out, mate, because as far as I'm concerned, you might be a great promoter, but your fighters are not very good. For the most part, the British fighters are not very good. And so you need to get a new stable of fighters, and then you're going to have to look after those fighters because you've done a shambles with this, a lot of fighters. And now you look back, I said before, if Frank and Eddie ever got together and they ever were to go against one another, Frank would actually destroy him, and we saw that happen. And I always felt, and I always felt that they would, as soon as before they knew their time was up, they'd scuttle out of boxing, make as much money as possible and get the hell out of boxing. We'll see what happens with that. We'll see. But let me know your thoughts in the comment section, because you guys don't leave comments in the comment sections anymore. So instead of leaving comments in my videos, you can leave comments in the comment section instead, and you can tell me what your thoughts are. So I need to get these comments in the comment section because it's not good enough, people. You need to be, if I'm putting out these videos, you need to start putting some comments in the comment section. All right, let's light that comment section up. I told you it was coming, didn't I? Vladimir Klitschko, he'll come back and fight. He's just waiting for the opportunity. He'll come back and fight. Yeah. A lot of these guys will come back and fight, but they're looking for the right opportunity. So I think a lot of these fighters that are retired, you'll see them again. Whether it be exhibitions, you'll see them fight again. Even if it's an exhibition league of older fighters, you might see it still. Especially these fighters looking for a few bobs. Maybe they won't fight with 10-ounce gloves, maybe 6-ounce gloves to protect the fighters. We'll see. But for now, I told you about the YouTubers getting into this. YouTubers are in it now. There's a YouTube League of Boxing. Be careful. Be careful. We might even get crossovers from that as well. And the other thing I thought as well is that you might get UFC fighters getting into boxing and WWE fighters getting into boxing and boxers crossing over into WWE and UFC. I told you years ago, boxing is turning into WWE and it's becoming a circus. When I told you all, you didn't listen and you laughed and you thought I was talking rubbish. You need to be looking at the people you're listening to. A lot of the people you're talking to are charlatans, people that really are telling you something to serve their master, but not really tell you the truth. I'm telling you the truth as it is. And I keep saying it over and over again. I'm no Nostradamus, but I got a pretty good sense of business. See you soon. Take care. Don't forget to rate, subscribe, leave your comments, and give my kudos in the comment section. I told you always coming. Take care.